Is England good? India bad? Um, cool. I'll with it. Cold open time. Um, cricket. Have you got to the World Cup fever now? Is it buzzing through your bones, Jamie?
Which World Cup? And
Why the T20 World Cup, of course, the competition that happens feels like every year.
I mean, yeah, it's been alright. Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, sure,
good.
sure.
That's the resounding answer we want. Because I watched yesterday. Obviously, it's a great game, which we'll go into, and I feel like our view count's going to be massively down because India may have lost. But I think,
I'm more surprised that we're going to go into it.
yeah, true. Um, yeah, I mean, it's tricky because, like, on the one hand, yesterday was so good, but then on the same hand, or other hand, should I say, are we going to remember this game in like even a year? Like, what context does it have? And I think we're going to come to that later. But before we get in doom and gloom, it was a very good day for England yesterday. Had a lot of fun watching it. It was a bit balmy army, you could say. It was all kicking off. England won by 10 wickets. Say what? What was that? 10 wickets, chasing 168. Um, I think the main story to jump off with is obviously that opening partnership and only partnership that England needed of Hales and Buttler, um, doing it with about 5 overs to spare. Hales got 86, Buttler 80. Solid day all round, I reckon.
Yeah, in my notes, one sec. I
Yes,
have got Butler and Hales go burr. I think that sums
yes,
it up, really. They just went at it.
they found their cheat
And
code.
yeah, they didn't stop.
No,
What can you say about it other than they fucking smashed it? Like,
yeah,
I don't think India threatened with the ball at all.
no,
Their
it's
fielding was a bit crap. They didn't really seem
yeah,
that on it for a game, which is weird considering it's a semi-final and you could be playing your biggest international rivals in the final. But it's
yeah.
fine.
You'd have
We'll
thought,
we'll take your place. It's cool.
yeah, it was bizarre. I mean, like it's you kind of got a sense even from the first over something weird was going to happen because it all felt village. Like you had the first ball, Kumar bowled a wide. It's far too like that sets the tone straight away. Comparatively to Pakistan the day before, they didn't bowl a single wide or no ball in their entire bowling innings, which that shows you a testament of stepping up, I suppose. Um, and then the second ball, Butler smashes for four. And then Pant does. I don't know why Pant was playing when you got Dinesh Karthik inside, who's been your keeper for ages, but we'll get on to India later. Why Pant then comes up to the stumps on the third ball of the innings. So he's coming up to Bhuvi Kumar, who's an opening outswing bowler. So what are you expecting? You're trying to keep Joss Butler, who is arguably the greatest T20 batsman in the world at the moment, in his crease by you coming up to the stumps. And lo and behold, he then gets 13 off the over by hitting two more boundaries later in the episode. That really worked. And it just felt like India trying to be too cute, too clever, without really having any reason or logic to make some of the decisions they did. But at the end of the day, I think contextually, Hales and Butler are just a class above. I mean, it comes down to a lot of reasons I'll get into later, but they've got so much experience around the world in all these different competitions. Um, and they just click as an opening partnership. We're not going to get into all the kind of Hale stuff and him being inside and what's he like as a bloke. So just a cricket perspective, I think they just gel really well off one another. Um, like if Butler's struggling and he was a bit scratchy at the beginning, Butler, Hales takes over. And then the second half of their partnership, Hales wasn't really getting the boundaries, so then Butler takes over. Like they just completely complement each other so well. So much so, I do think they're probably statistically it's correct. I think they're probably the best opening partnership England have had in T20s, personally. But also I think statistically.
I mean, who else? could you make a case for Butler and Roy, maybe?
Butler and
Who?
Roy. It's either all the other possibilities have them in it. So you've got Butler and Roy, Roy and Hales, Hales and Lunn. Like they're the only ones that
Yeah.
really jump out of off the page to you. Like I think you've just got to look at their records. I think Hales is the third most leading run scorer in T20s for England. Butler's now highest. They've got the highest opening partnership
Mhm.
or highest ever partnership in any wherever you bat in World Cups and T20s. Um, chasing 170 for none
In a semi-final, like
in a
just
semi-final.
chasing
Yeah,
170 for none is pretty mad in itself, but like doing it in the context of the pressure situation
no, exactly.
that is a
Against
semi-final. It's
India.
like, what are you on? What's this
Yeah.
fucking nonsense?
Especially when, 90% of the people who are there um are Indian supporters. That like you could hear like very briefly through the when Pandya and Cody were hitting it around, just the tiniest snippet of like Jerusalem or the Barmy
Mhm.
Army in the background, the tiniest smidgen, like it was just someone walking past with their dog. Um, it was just another level. It was just brilliant. I don't really have the words to sum it up because it was absolutely such nonsense. I think they just played every bowler really well. Just it wasn't playing to the situation. It's just this is how we play. We're going to try and smash it from ball one. We're going to get ahead of the run rate. We're not going to give you a sniff. Like some of the funniest stuff. I don't know if it comes up in the highlights that you watched. There's two moments. One from Virat when Butler smoked one to mid off, and then KHOLI absolutely launched it at the non-strikers end, and then was like pointing at Hales, being like, "No, get back in. You're not going anywhere. I'm going to run you out." And you replay show that Hales was like had his bat in for like minutes, so it was like, well, that was nothing at all, was it? And then there was a bit the sixth or seventh over when Butler and Hales were obviously way ahead of everything, and India had no answers. And then Pandya and KHOLI were trying to get the crowd going. They were like clapping and like going like, "Come on, let's noise," because every time India don't do well in any kind of cricket match, it just goes dead silent. Nothing ever happens. So they're trying to get the crowd up. Crowd's starting to go mental. You feel like, oh, they're going to make something happen here. And then Axar Patel bowls them halfway down, and Butler just smashes it for four or six. And then you just see Butler like to Hale's like it's just like they're just way ahead of what India were just even trying to do. It was just not. I don't think there was one chance towards the very end that Surakumi Yadav dropped and it went for four. I, that's the only kind of chance I remember at all. And that's
Yeah,
at the end.
I think Butler skied one.
Mm,
It might have been that Yadav chance, but
yeah.
it was not a it wasn't a Mo catch.
No. No.
Like
Yeah.
I I can't think of
Okay.
any moment where Butler or Hales were remotely worried. But like
No, not at
on
all.
those like Kohli moments, a lot of the Indian team feel like you can rattle them easily. And by
Yep.
easily, I mean just playing well, apparently.
Yep. Just play. But the pressure is like it just as soon as there was pressure on them, like they've if you look again, we go back. I'm going to go to India later, but when pressure is on them, they do crumble a bit. Like
Mhm.
we'll get to it a bit. But again, I hope it was on highlights. It should have been on the highlights. Did you see the all run four?
No, no, I missed that.
So Butler scooped it, went down to the fine leg boundary. Shami runs in. He's not right on the boundary, right? He's fairly well in. He comes in, gets it round. He like picks it up and tries to do a relay pass to Bhuvi Kumar. Um, and it's like you're standing up. You can throw it yourself, and he throws it over Kumar's head. It goes to the other side of the ground. Should have been two, ends up being four. It was just like you have Pants standing up on the first over, then you have that. It was just you're trying to make the case that you're like the biggest deal, the top dogs in cricket, and then you're doing things like this. And it's just God, it was
Uh,
embarrassing. But yeah, I think again, it's just class above from Butler and Hales. Rattled them as soon as they were rattled, it was just that was it. That game was gone after the first power play, in my opinion. Um, it was dead and buried.
So
Um,
it just sort of highlights the difference in intensity and mentality, just
yeah,
tactically,
yeah,
in the batting innings between England and India,
hmm
mainly England and most other T20 sides.
I think so.
In that,
Yeah,
I don't think England actually have a tactic. It's just go hard.
yeah,
Whereas,
yeah.
like, India is see out the power play, not see out the power play, but
I mean, it is to an extent.
like, yeah, it's not overhitting, is
No,
it?
no,
Sort of wait until the power play's gone or get
circumspect.
to 10 overs and then use that like final 10 to go
Yeah,
hard. But by that time, England, like comparatively, have already gone hard and are still
yeah,
going hard and have
yeah.
the capabilities down the batting order to go fucking harder.
Yeah, exactly. It's like always become a bit of a meme now. But you had Rashid batting at 11, and everyone likes to remind it he's got four first class hundreds. But that just shows the like ridiculousness of the batting depth. And then meanwhile, India have like Ashwin coming in seven, I think, and it's like that's not comparable. That feels like a 2010 side, you know, like. It, they got to par to 168 and Pandya's been smashing it all over the place and you're suddenly like, oh, it's momentum with India. And then it's like, well, that was probably at least 80 short. Like, it was like, even if they got like 220, the Mood Hales and Butler in, they're like, they'll probably do that. But we'll come back a bit to the batting side and Hales and stuff because of India. But a few other England points I just wanted to talk about. Adil Rashid, I think, is back to his best. I think his spell, although it's not many highlight worthy, was excellent is the word I would use. Just coming off a great game against Sri Lanka in this high pressure situation, came on early with the ball again. Well, four overs, 1 for 20. Got Suryakumar Yadav out really cheaply, really did him in the flight. And he's a guy averaging friggin' I might as well get a 50 every game at a strike rate of 190. And then he was gone early, and suddenly India are like, well, what do we do now? Um, yeah, I thought he bowled excellently. I don't know how much you would have seen of that.
Yeah, no, I saw a fair amount. I saw him get Yadav live, and it was just
Okay.
he's just fooled him, really.
Yeah,
I think you can kind of expect to get a wicket like that against Yadav every so often, at least.
yeah.
Just trying to go hard. It was like the second over of Yadav's or something after coming
Yeah, it was
in.
very early on. Yeah,
Yeah,
he had a scratchy
like
start and he hit a couple of boundaries. Thought, oh, here he goes, and then Rashid just couldn't get him.
yeah, exactly. Like, and when Yadav gets into that mindset, you can kind of see him go, that's all it is now.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
can kind of place your field to that and bowl to that and prepare to get a catch at some
yeah,
point.
yeah,
Like,
and
yeah,
ideal. Huh?
Rash is back. Like, he had a weird start, and before the World Cup, it was just a
Yeah,
bit off. But last two games, especially, it's just been,
yeah,
it's not always constant threat, but the economy is what is doing it for him at the minute. Like,
massively. Yeah,
four, was it last over, and five in this
yeah,
last
exactly. And
over, last.
comparatively as well. Yeah, yeah. It gone overall, but comparatively, look how India goes, and like most of their bowlers going over 12,
Mhm.
13. It's like Ashwin got completely taken down, but it's just England using brain smarts as well. And I think, again, we'll come to India later with this, but they just let. No, I think it's difficult to say let Rashid bowl. I think you sometimes have to be a bit when you've got the one of the best spinners in T20 cricket. You have to be a bit more circumspect, I suppose. Um, and that's probably why they brought Pant in as well to try and negate that leg spin, even though he never bowled a Pant. But Livingston bowled 3 overs
Yeah.
for 20. Like that's
21.
21. I'll tell you, that's a
Yes.
good memory. um, like, and only because KHOLI hit the last ball of his spell for four, it would have been 3 overs to 17. And it's like, no disrespect to Liam Livingston, but how do you get to that situation where you're just letting a part-time bowler just sort of go through the overs and then suddenly you're left with 5 overs to go and you've got, oh wait, we need to suddenly start hitting runs here, otherwise this game's gone in England 10 overs. It's just mad. But I mean, Livingston bowled well, but I wouldn't say 3 overs, none for 21 well. Um, but in terms of good bowling, um, I will say the one that stood out for me. not necessarily in terms of like stats, but I've been quite just a critic in the past. But I thought Chris Jordan bowled pretty well, um, mainly due to the context. Uh, Coming in late on, first game of this tournament is a semi-final. He's played one game since August, um, and that was in against Australia like 3 or 4 weeks ago, in a game which he went at 12s and over and got no wicket. And then this game, gets a wicket in his first over, gets row it, I think, and then has to bowl 3 overs on the bounce at the death, and ends up getting about 3 for 40. And again, I think he bowled better than his figures suggest. Sometimes he hits Yorkers and stuff, and he went the distance as Jordan usually does. Um, but he got the important wickets at important times, got important run out as well with Pant at the end. Um, I thought he did good, um, and I'm happy to eat my humble pie and say that he did well, because normally I'm like, nah, don't get him in the team, but I thought he did well. How did you assess Chris Jordan's comeback?
I mean, I would be the sort of person that say just put George in this, or used to say put George in the side for his fielding.
Yeah,
I think he's basically in the squad now just for that to come on as sub.
super sub.
Yeah, yeah. And like him coming in, especially for Wood, who's been
Yeah,
amazing building up to the whole tournament and just in general.
yeah,
Jordan would have been the concern and the worry, like coming in not having played again a game in the World Cup
yeah.
and having that sort of iffy form prior to. But
Hmm.
like of what I saw, he was really, really good.
Yeah,
Like 3 wickets plus a run out. And it was a really important wicket to get KHOLI, who was 50 odd, not
yeah, massively.
necessarily trucking along. But he if we didn't get KHOLI at that time, him and Pandya could have taken the game away much more than what actually happened.
Yeah,
That's a huge wicket. The,
massively.
yeah, the run out, great stuff. It was a bit of a mix up between I think it was Pant and Pandya.
Pantopandia, yeah.
But yeah, like I think the question is if Wood is fit, which I don't think is likely, do you keep George or do you put Wood back in? I think it's a
If
really
I
difficult
think if Wood
decision.
is, yeah, I think if Wood is 100% fit, they'll absolutely bring Wood back in just for that kind of point of difference. Um, Especially kind of against Pakistan, I think that extra pace would help. But I'd see it as more likely that Wood's not going to be 100% fit, so they would play Jordan. Um, but yeah, I mean, especially given no form, like you could have easily gone for someone like David Willey, who bowled or played pretty much all the Pakistan games. So there's a bit more form behind him. Um, but they went with experience, went for Jordan. He bowled one really great Yorker at KHOLI as well, which was given not out, but they reviewed it. It was kind of umpire's call. Um, and got, KHOLI pretty much floored, which, is in the form he's in, it's like, well, that's pretty good. Um, but yeah, just a few kind of blows at the end kind of ruined what would have been pretty good figures otherwise. But 3 important wickets in a run out. Job done. So yeah, good stuff, George. Good stuff all around, really.
Yeah.
Restriction 168. A couple of other quick points about England because otherwise, I mean, we are an English podcast, I suppose. But um, quick other statos to mention: Matthew Mott, obviously the white ball coach. If England were to go on to win on Sunday or Monday, if it's rain, um, he would have won 2 World Cups this year as coach, one with the Australian women's cricket team earlier in the year, and then the England team in the men's T20 World Cup. That'd be pretty good for the old CV, I'd reckon. 2 World Cups in the year.
You just try and do that every year, right?
Exactly. Just keep bouncing off is enough of them, isn't
Yeah.
there?
The way the ICC schedule everything, just
Yeah,
keep going.
just World Cups
OD,
every month, I
yeah.
reckon.
ODI
Yeah,
World Cup, win that.
Champions Trophy,
T20,
go.
win that.
um, and then just my final thing on England. So again, contextually, we obviously had no Wood in this game, no Milan. Thinking of other kind of players who aren't in this team, no Bairstow, no Archer, no Topley, but still go on and beat India comprehensively. Obviously, Pakistan could still win on Sunday, but is England the best T20 slash white ball side in the world, considering beat Australia at home in the T20 series before the World Cup. Obviously, didn't play them. Beat Pakistan at home in the most recent series. Just pumped India. Beat New Zealand. Would you say they're the best team?
I think whoever wins on Sunday would confirm that either Ireland or Zimbabwe are the best
Well, yeah, oh
T20
yeah,
team
exactly.
in the
Sorry.
world.
So, yeah. Both of teams which have to qualify for the next T20 World Cup.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Right.
you look at all the teams in this tournament, I think the most consistent team has probably been England.
Yeah.
Bowling has been excellent throughout. Batting took a little bit of time to click, and when it did, Buttler and Hales were just on it. Didn't need anyone else for this game. Uh,
No.
Stokes gotten back into a bit of form batting wise.
Yeah.
You can rely on Livingston and Mo and the rest of
Yeah.
them to come in. Somewhat disappointed not to see Salt, but considering we won by 10 wickets
Ten
and he got a
wickets. Yeah.
catch, then I'll
That
take it.
that'd be so typical for Salt, wouldn't it? If Milan suddenly fit for the final, and then Milan comes back in, it's like, well, have a World Cup winners medal, but did not bat.
He took a catch, mate. Take that.
Important catch, to be fair.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just I find it mad because considering like Bairstow, Milan, Wood, Topley, Archer, all of those players would get into that first choice team, but then still this team absolutely pump India by 10 wickets. I think it's just the strength and depth is insane. Um, so
I
comparatively, so go on.
I think I'd argue we're playing the only other team that you could compare or argue is the better team in Pakistan in the final.
Yeah, I
In
think so.
in terms of like Rizwan and Babar are just fucking class. I know they've not had
Yeah,
the best World Cups, but they are
yeah,
great.
did the job and the other day. It's New
Like
Zealand.
you look at their bowlers in Shaheen, Ralph, Wasim, Shadab's had a great tournament.
Jalab Khan's had a great, yeah, fantastic
Yeah.
tournament. Yeah,
Uh, Shan Masood was keeping it together when Babar and Rizwan weren't
yeah,
at it.
yeah. Mohammed Harris has come in and really smashed it at three.
Yeah.
Um,
They've got Fakhar
yeah,
Zaman when he's fit or
yeah.
if he can get
No,
into the team. Like I
I'd,
think they're
I'd,
the only
yeah,
team that you can argue against, at least from the context that is this World Cup. Even
which
then,
Royal. Yeah,
I
no,
think you can make a case for India, but they just on paper you can make a case for India.
on paper,
On pitch, they
nah.
they bottle it.
But yeah, I'd agree. England, Pakistan for me. I think they've both had very similar tournaments. England should have beaten in England. Probably it's difficult for England. The only game they lost is against Ireland, and you can't say for sure whether they would have actually lost that game. That's the that's always going to be the kind of bugbear of this tournament if they don't win it. Or if they do win it, be like, oh, lost to Islanders. But did they? If they had the rest of that over, again, I said when that happened, I was pretty sure Mo would have got the job done. But it's neither here or there. Well done, Ireland, I guess. And then Pakistan lost to India, and again, they should have won like five times, didn't. And then lost to Zimbabwe. Credit Zimbabwe. Again, Pakistan should have won that game, nearly 4 from 4. So I think they both had very similar tournaments. I think they're the two best teams. I think you're right. Um, Comparatively to India, we talked a lot about the kind of strength and depth of England. India just baffles me. Like the one thing that really stood out. Let me just see if I can find his comments. Was from Rohit. Um, First, I think we've already said they're playing like they're a team from the 2010s, like just trying to target the last 10 overs
Yeah.
rather than actually the whole 2028 innings, which, England's probably the pioneers for. But other teams are starting to catch up, being like, oh, maybe you should hit it around a bit. Um, but they got absolutely pumped by Pakistan last year. They lost by 10 wickets also at the beginning of that World Cup um, by playing a similar brand of cricket. And then they've just had the same at the end of this World Cup. So it's like, well, what have you learned in the space of a year? You've got the frigging IPL and everything, but you can't learn how to play T20 better, sure. But yeah, what Rohit said was just sort of like, something like, oh, really disappointing, especially since the bowlers didn't turn up. And it's like, yes, that is partially true, but also maybe the batters didn't show up
Yeah.
as well. Maybe you shouldn't really be signaling out the bowlers when you've not when obviously like I said, if England need to chase 80 more, I probably reckon they'd do it. Like the batters haven't got the scores. Like Rohit's had a very poor World Cup. Rahul was scratchy to begin with, and then when the big game came yesterday, disappeared. KHOLI plays obviously has a fantastic tournament, but he plays in a way that he'll get to a score and then go in the last five, and then you're relying on him not getting out and then chewing up deliveries, and he did that to an extent yesterday. Pandya played a blinder, but he's not necessarily a blinder across the tournament. And then you bring in Pant for Kartik, and Kartik's been your keeper for ages, and it's sort of like, is it not the batters?
I
Am I not?
like regardless of who it is, as the captain,
Yeah,
if you're going to say you've lost because you've not played well, you should say as a collective, as a team,
yeah,
you've
got
not played
everything
well.
wrong.
Even if you believe the bowlers have fucked you,
Yeah,
you say it's a team loss. You don't go and say that fucking bowlers, it
yeah.
didn't do much. I swear though, Rohit said something about at least Kumar getting a bit of a swing.
So yeah,
I don't know.
so we didn't use the swing well enough. Is like,
Yeah, it feels like the chemistry in the Indian squad and team is
yeah,
just a bit weird.
yeah. I don't think they're a happy camp. Um, they won't be after this. Um,
Are they ever?
yeah, but it just feels like a dated side. Like it just feels like a side you'd rock up for when India won the World Cup in 2011. Is it 2011? Um, they've not won an international tournament since 2013. They've always kind of they're always the bridesmaid, never the bride. They're always like semi-finals or like maybe fine, but never go on to win. Um, their bowling attack is Shami, um, Kumar. Arshdeep Singh's had a good tournament, so I'm not going to. I think he's the testament to bringing in fresh faces, someone new, someone who's done well in the IPL, someone younger and you see the testament of that straight away. He's a great
Yeah.
tournament. But then if three of your bowlers are, also I'm going to include Pandya as well because I think Pandya's good, but I think he's better batter than bowler. So if when your three main bowlers are right arm, medium fast, and then your main spinner is Ashwin, who's 36, and he's just an off spinner, and he's an off spinner bowling to two right handers, and it's just like we didn't bowl Mo yesterday because matchups, but in the short boundary playing to the arcs, why do they not play Jahal, who's their leg spinner? It's just to me, it makes no sense to be like you're going to go with Ashwin, who's not really had a standout tournament. It just feels so dated. Like here's our test match. It's a bit Australia-ish, like with Hazelwood, Cummins, Stark, and Zampa. Like you're basically playing your test bowling attack. Like it's
Like,
T20 cricket.
yeah, do you remember? I think it was the first of our reaction vids for the World
Mm,
Cup. I was saying something similar about how Australia haven't adapted
yeah,
at all. They feel like a
yeah,
very stale, this is our 11, will change maybe one person if they're in
yeah,
form.
yeah,
I think
100%.
India have a lot of that going on as well.
I
Like
think so.
Arshdeep Singh, would he have played if Bumrah was fit?
Absolutely not.
Probably not.
Absolutely not. No.
I think you can give them some credit for putting Bumrah in, but again, like Bumrah's a special talent, so you can't
Yeah,
not have him in.
absolutely. And yeah,
Same with Yadav. Like those are the two, apart from Ashdeep Singh, that you'd say have come into the team as fresh faces and absolutely nailed it.
yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
KL Rahul, I like KL Rahul,
Yeah,
but he just continues to disappoint and underwhelm.
yeah.
I
On the biggest stage as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't get the hype around Rohit Sharma. He's a quality player and probably best suited to test matches, but I don't see it in
depends
T20s.
where.
I guess, but like not even last year when it was on pitch that you'd consider would favor India or the Indian subcontinent.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I mean, like I feel like Sharma's not like formed in a long time. Obviously, Kohli's had a great tournament, but you feel like this team just needs a massive shake-up.
Yeah.
Like, and it comes down to me. Like, I think you look at the IPL, which has been reported to be by 2027. scheduled for 94 matches. It just feels to me that like it does India care about international cricket? And by that, does it mean that is international cricket just going to die out by 2027? Because if India don't care, if they're not going to be picking what's the best team, they've got all these resources. They're going to have like players from the hills from the IPL who could have come in and done a better job than the team they put out yesterday. It's just like here's the same old lot. They're the kind of custodians of Indian cricket. We need Kohli. When Kohli's going to play, we need Rohit Sharma there. We need I don't know KL Rahul, Ashwin. These players you recognise. We can't really give chances to youngsters. It just feels they care more about the domestic success or India's success in India rather than elsewhere. I mean, Test cricket, I think you can't really compare, but white ball T20 cricket, it just feels odd to me that you've got the IPL and then you're putting out a performance like that. And like, yeah, they shouldn't have beaten Pakistan. They didn't. They scraped the win against Bangladesh. If it had rained 5 minutes more, they weren't winning that. Um, I don't know. I'm kind of rambling, but it's
No,
like,
no, like I feel like you have to play players like Rohit and Kohli because they're the attractions. Without
exactly.
them, the Indian fan base wouldn't tune in as much as they do, either on TV or turn up in
Yeah,
their hundreds of thousands in any stadium. Like if you have to keep those in to have
yeah,
that like engagement with the fan base. Otherwise, that dwindles, and surprisingly, you probably lose money.
yeah.
So Kohli's probably going to play until he's 50,
Oh,
just because they
just
can't
cause.
afford to not have him play.
Yeah, yeah. And
Whereas
it's sort
if
of
you're like trying to have a bit of a shake up and a refresher, I think you're
yeah,
looking at Kohli and Rohit, KL to go out and
yeah.
have some new blood come in. And
I think you need it 100%. I don't care from an England perspective, but like it's also the thing as well that none of these players play any other franchises. They can only be scheduled to play IPL cricket. Whilst someone like Hales can go around the world and play in all these different franchises, like he played for Adelaide Strikers, whatever you want to call it, the big match for like almost 10 years. So he knows Adelaide so well. All these Indian players only know it when they play a big global tournament or when they play Test cricket. Um, whilst all the England players, all Pakistan players, Australian players, everyone goes around the world, plays all these tournaments, and really expands their game. Whilst India just feel like they're in their own bubble, um, and that's not the Indian players' fault; it's the BCCI's fault. Um, I think it's a shame for the game, like especially if India suddenly turn around and be like, we don't care that much about international cricket. Um, then I worry where it's going to be in like 10 years. I think we spoke about this before, but yeah, we'll see. Happy India times for all our India followers. Are you very good? Who knows? Let us know in the comments. I'm sure you might. Um, we got not much time left of our little episode today. You might have heard a yawn from my little puppy next to me. But obviously bored of the chat. But quick preview for the final if it doesn't rain. Um, who are you going to go with? Pakistan or England?
England.
England. Yeah, I think
Uh,
England.
I
Yeah, I
think
can't predict to 2020. Probably go
like
about 50.
yeah, I don't think either of us can in our right minds choose Pakistan, but I think they're the team I'm most worried of in this
Yeah,
whole tournament.
the forces have
Like
been.
just with everyone that I've already mentioned, Rizwan, Baba, Shaheen, Ralph, Shadab. I think England are favourites, but if there's going to be a team that beat
Yeah,
us, I think
yeah,
it's going to
100%. Yeah, it will be Pakistan. I'd be
be.
likened to agree.
But I'm still going to go England. Fuck it.
Yes, I think. Yeah, go on. Peaked too early though. Should have saved this performance for. They should. Where was the tense, horrible, painful finish of a semi-final? Is it going to be in the final? Probably. Um,
I mean, both teams have picked up form at the right time as well.
yeah,
So it's either going to be a cracker of a game or just a
yeah,
bit of a dead rubber.
yeah. Always is the way.
This World Cup with all these low scores, it's going to be 128 to win.
All these low scores, and then suddenly Hales and Butler put on friggin' 170 for none. Um, but I mean, quick one to finish off in terms of narrative wise. I think why Pakistan will win because it is reflected in the 1992 World Cup, which I'm sure you remember very well.
Hmm.
We were -2 at the time.
Yeah.
So basically, Pakistan lost the opening match at the MCG, which they did this time. They won the last three matches of the group stage, which they did this time. They qualified for the semi-final on the last day, which they did this time. Beat New Zealand in the semi-final, which they did this time. And guess who they faced in the final? They faced England and they won. So history is going to repeat itself. You've heard it here first. Pakistan are going to win, and that is going to be the start of Pakistan cricket being the best.
I'm not having that. England can subvert expectations. It's fine.
England need to change the course of history, and they'll win it. It'll be fine. I mean, it might. It looks like it's going to rain all Sunday, so the reserve day is Monday. If it rains on day Monday as well, which is looking likely to, and then the tournament cup will be shared, like boundary counts.
They can't go to Tuesday because that's just mental.
That'd be silly. That'd be not illogical. So
It's
yeah,
not as though cricket saves like 5 days for any format.
no,
It's fine. Just share the cup you've got worked so hard to try and win over the
yeah,
past month or so. It's fine. You can both have it.
have half seas. Cut it in
It's
half. Have half
it's
seas.
not about the winning. It's about the friends you made along
It's
the
about
way.
it's about the sharing. And that's a good message to leave it on for today, I guess. So we might be back for the review of the final if the final goes ahead. If not, thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Any closing remarks from you, Jamie?
Surya Kumar Yadav's the limit. I
Hales Butler go brr,
uh,
brr.